Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about self-soothing. Parents often struggle to get their baby to calm on their own, and something I hear across the first 2 years of life over and over again is he won't settle on his own. He needs somebody to hold him, rock him, cuddle him, sleep with him in order to get him to sleep. And so I wanted to talk through this question, and I actually got it as a question. So if you have a question, you can text me. It's 402-256-0768. So here's a question straight off of my text. And it is, okay, I gotta move my thing here. Baby stopped sleeping in her crib and now only wants to sleep in our bed. Result, we don't get any sleep in order to keep an eye on her. How do we get her back to her crib? We attempted several times to be baby in the crib and she won't stay there for more than 2 minutes. She would start crying a lot to the point of almost choking. So we'd pick her up and soothe her. She is 10 months old and she only falls asleep after being rocked for so long. How to teach her to self-soothe? Super common question. I'm actually going to take this and expand it out a couple of degrees so that even more parents can benefit from it. So I'm going to start with the youngest babies. A lot of times parents will say that their newborn baby only sleeps when held. Comment below yes if that is you or if that was you back in the day, because it's super common and parents often struggle with, how do I get my baby to go to sleep so that I can go to sleep, because I have to hold them all the time, and we don't want to sleep in the, we don't want to put baby in our bed because we want to do safe sleep practices, but we just can't get any rest because as soon as we lay the baby down, she starts screaming and crying. So starting at the newborn, youngest baby age, I think the best thing to do for those newborns is swaddling. And swaddling helps to suppress those newborn reflexes so they're not squirming and squawking all over the place and waking themselves up. And it also helps them feel warm and tight like they were in the womb. This is the 4th trimester, remember? So we're trying to simulate that. And then the biggest thing that I see that parents struggle with is they feed the baby to sleep and then they rile the baby up by swaddling them and trying to get them all packaged up nicely, lay them down in the crib, and then boom, baby's back awake and they're like looking at you and you're like, I can't do this all again and again and again. Back to feed, back to then swaddle, back to change diaper. Then we got to do it all over again, and 2 hours have gone by and nobody's gotten any rest. Comment below if you have ever felt that way. Just a big yes in all caps so that people know that is normal and it is hard. What I recommend in this newborn age, like under 4 months of age, certainly is reasonable to do for babies. You can't spoil them by holding them and rocking them to sleep, but then you want to be able to put them down. Strategies that I've seen that are really effective for this and that we've used in our own house is when you put baby to do their last feeding, if you are saying, okay, after this, I really want to get some good sleep. It's 9 p.m. I want to feed baby and get him down to sleep. Swaddle before you feed, which means you want to change your diaper too. Change your diaper, swaddle them, and then feed. You might have to either like get a really good swaddle or use like some professional help, like a Velcro sort of thing to get them swaddled nicely so that you can arrange them to feed and everything like normal. But then feed your baby swaddled. So when they fall asleep, it's not, okay, he's asleep now. Now I'm going to take him and then like swaddle him up and stir him and wake him up and everything like that. That can be really effective too, is swaddling before feeding. The other thing that I find time and again helps and helped at our house a lot, especially in that newborn first couple months period, was we would feed and then swaddle and then kind of carry him around, rock him around, shush him. One thing that I think that parents don't do enough of is using like either a pacifier, which it's fine to use once you've got a good latch established, to use a pacifier to help with soothing, or just stick your pinky finger in their mouth and let them suck on something until they fall asleep. They're swaddled, they're sucking on something, you're shushing them, carrying them around, holding them on their side a little bit. All of those things help baby to nod off, and then you can gently put baby down, already swaddled, into their safe sleep, whether it be a bassinet or a crib or something like that, so that they can sleep, and then you can run to bed and get some sleep yourself. That works well for that age group, because I know that there's a lot of new parents out there of young babies that are really struggling to put baby down and actually get rest, and those two strategies work well. The third one would be dream feeding. If we're getting ready for bed and we want to get a really good stretch of sleep, dream feeding or topping off with either pumped milk formula or just breastfeeding again for a dream feed can be really effective too, and I talk about that all of those things in my Mighty Sleepers course. So if you want more information, check out mightysleepers.com. Now, in this age group, in older kids, what do we do because they were sleeping well and now she only wants to sleep in our bed? Probably because a couple times we let it happen because we were just all so dang tired that we needed to get some rest, and we cut corners and didn't do things as we had expected. If you're okay with cry it out, I would just do cry it out. This will work super quick in a 10-month-old. It is extremely effective. What you do is you feed them, you get them ready for bed, you do the bedtime routine. If they fall asleep, you wake them up, you put them in their bed, you say night-night in their own crib, and then you leave the room. They stand up, they scream, they cry for a few minutes, and then they're like, okay, well, that isn't really getting me anything. And in the past, I used to get taken into my parents' bed when that happened, and, well, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen anymore. I'm going to lay down, I'm going to go to sleep. Very effective strategy. It takes about 3 nights. I talk through that again in my Mighty Sleepers course too, is how to do cry it out safely and effectively and quick so that it lasts. If you say, we don't want to let our baby cry, we want them to be gently put to sleep and learn to sleep train, totally possible too. I used to just try and convince everybody, just do cry it out, it's fast and easy. People don't want to do that, and that's totally fine. And I get that and honor that, and I'm not afraid to sleep train a baby without crying. It's totally possible. And I talk through that in my course too, but I'll just give you the highlights here. Is you can teach a baby while you're still present with them to fall asleep on their own. In this case, what I would do is you take your 10-month-old, you get them all ready for bed, you do your bedtime routine, feeding, blah, blah, blah. You put them in their crib, and instead of just leaving the room where they would start crying, you just plop down on the ground. You can lay down, you can put your AirPods in, you can do something to just sit there and allow baby to say, oh, my mom is right over there, my dad is right over there, okay, I guess I'll sit here. And they might just need a little bit of soothing with your voice. I would try not to touch them if you can, just so they get the idea of I can fall asleep without having a hand on my back or anything like that. And just be there until they fall asleep. And I call that camping, basically where you camp out. I didn't invent that term. That's a well-known established term. I'm not trying to take credit for inventing that technique. But that helps babies to learn to fall asleep on their own in the presence of their parents. They cry less, they can see you. It's not as, it doesn't feel like torture for parents as much. And then you just gradually move closer and closer to the door. Eventually you get to the point where they've learned how to do it. They fall asleep on their own. They fall back asleep on their own. You don't have to be present. And it's a super effective strategy. If you've used either one of these approaches, will you comment yes below and tell us a little bit more in the comments about how it worked for you, how old your baby was, and any hiccups or anything that you came across? Because I think that would be really helpful for other parents to see, hey, as we were doing this, this is a issue that came about in that process. Now, there's a lot of parents that are just like, my baby cries, my baby throws up, my baby is choking, like this parent too. And so, we can't do anything. We have to take them into our bed. Camping works really well for those parents that really don't want their baby to get that hysterically upset. I know that babies will get through it and they'll be totally fine, but a lot of parents just don't want to get to that point, and I totally get that. I can't say I blame you at all for not wanting to have your baby, choking or vomiting or having to deal with all those sorts of things from crying. So just camp on the floor, move slowly away. It takes a few more nights than cry it out, but it's just as effective, and it works great for overnight too. So if he wakes up in the middle of the night and needs a feeding or needs anything, you just go back in, you take care of the needs, you put him down awake, you do the same thing. You'll probably fall asleep on the floor, and then he'll fall asleep on the floor. It works like a dream. Hopefully this has been helpful. Click the like button below if you would, if you found it helpful, and then share it with somebody or comment below what you have experienced. Keep up the good work. Thanks for watching. Now, before you go, hit subscribe. And if you have a question, text me, 402-256-0768. Keep up the good work.